Okay, welcome to Galactic Grandmother Heart to Heart. My name is April, and my very special returning guest today is ThunderBeat Devara. She is a musician extraordinaire. She's actually a sound healer with her music. She's a drummer of all from a full drum set all the way to a smaller drums. And she is an author, and we're going to be talking a lot about her. Is it your latest book?
It
Faces
is
in
my
the Rock?
latest book, yes.
Okay. But she's written many books. She's got all kinds of music, sound healing music of different kinds, which she can tell us about as well. So, welcome back, Deborah. I'm really
Thank
excited.
you. Thank you so much, April. You're so awesome.
Oh,
Thank
thanks.
you.
I did want to mention that she also puts on a fabulous annual conference in Sedona and Cosmic Awakening. I went for the first time this year and was blown away by the speakers. It was really an amazing experience. I enjoyed very much.
Thank you.
You have given tours in Sedona of what your guides have really brought you to find in the
Mhm.
red rocks. We know about the vortexes, and it just seems to be like such a special place in Sedona. Did you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, when I first moved to Sedona, actually, first of all, I'm, half Native American, and my uncle, he's a shaman, and he'd always tell me when you see the faces in the rocks, those are the ancient ones and the ancient knowledge. So I would always look at rocks differently, and no matter where I went. So, but when I moved to Sedona, I was just blown away. I said, "Oh my God, there's so many faces here." And my spirit guides started coming in and showing me some of these statues or monuments, whatever you want to call them. I'm very connected to Egypt. I remember my past lives in Egypt, at least two of them. I think I had more, but I remember, but I've been studying Egypt, ancient Egypt, for 30 years. So when I got here, I found like Egypt right away. I found eight sphinxes. Okay, eight. I mean, and
Wow.
my spirit guide said there's 13 here. There's a lot of land here that you can't go to. You'd have to take a helicopter to get there. So there's miles and miles of land. So I'm sure there's other relics out there. I found ancient Egypt here. I found 14 major gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt statues. And they're carved and they're huge. They're like giants, like the whole side of mountains. And we're gonna see some pictures of that. It's about a 20-year project putting it together because I would just go out for hours taking pictures and hiking for hours and with my 35 millimeter Canon camera. And I would show the pictures to all these people, my friends, and they said, "You have to do a book." And I said, "I never thought about that, but I did it. It took off. I could not believe. I thought I was just going to sell in Sedona. No, all over the world. I mean, I get a lot of people from Australia, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is a big thing right now. This is ancient history lost. They don't even know. Ancient Egypt was here in Sedona. They talk about ancient Egypt. They found relics in the Grand Canyon.
Right.
Okay, and that is the Grand Canyon is only 2.5 hours from here, from
Mhm.
Sedona. Okay, so then there is Lake Powell. They found Egyptian hieroglyphs way up where you can't even reach them. They're huge. That's Lake Powell. That's 3 hours north of here. And then in Phoenix, which is 90 minutes south of here, they have a place they call Little Egypt. They're keeping it very secret. It's by the Superstitious Mountains, and they call it Little Egypt because they
Whoa.
have found some ancient Egypt artifacts there. But they're covering it up. Now, my friend told me about in South Illinois, a whole caves full of ancient Egypt artifacts. He has a documentary out on it. Then down at 500 miles south of here, this is all my research. We're talking years of research here. 500 miles south of here in Mexico, in a cave, they found ancient Egyptian carvings, ancient Mayan carvings, and all these carvings that no one knows what they are. And they've dated them to be 10 to 30,000 years old.
Oh, yeah. I
So
believe it. Yeah.
I'm thinking like well, the Egypt story is here. I know that. And I found Thoth, I found Anubis, I found Ra, Horus, Isis, Osiris, Hathor, Sekhmet. I mean, yes, all of them. And let's show some pictures. I'm excited.
And do you know why there seems to be Egyptian artifacts around the globe and especially here? Is there any information that your guides there that you have been told?
They seem like they came here first. Oh, I think what the ancient knowledge, like in the Emerald tablets with
Uh-huh.
Thoth, he talks about Atlantis, when it sank, he brought them to Kem, which is Egypt. He brought them from ancient Atlantis
Right.
to Egypt. So, and ancient Atlantis was huge, but the islands and all around like a couple hundred miles from us is Atlantis. I mean, all the Virgin Islands are Atlantis. The Caribbean's Atlantis. There's Atlantis. I have found Atlantis in Mexico. There's a temple that they don't know who built this temple. It's called Edna. And I've been there, and my spirit guide showed me what it used to look like. It was gorgeous, colorful, iridescent, golden light coming out of it. And I said, "Oh my God, that's Atlantis." And like I said, they don't know who built it. They said it's older than the Mayans. And that's
Mhm.
in Mexico. Okay, so you're talking still way west here that Atlantis was really spread out. I think
Right.
all the way up to the
Right.
Azores, and then they went into the Mediterranean Sea, which is they found a lot of Tepe is well, I'm not pronouncing that correct, but that is totally Atlantis, and that's an ancient stargate that they're still trying to figure out what that is, and they found the relics in Santorini Island. They go, oh, we don't know who this is. They're 60 feet buried.
Mhm.
60 feet. I mean, that there was a flood there. There's a flood all over the
Oh,
world.
yeah.
So
Well,
a lot of it has been covered up, and
that makes total sense that all of these Egyptian artifacts actually came from, well, it would be the West through Atlantis and then to what's now Egypt.
yes, that's what I see. And now I have a very fascinating story with Drumbelow. You remember Drumbelow, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he told me a story when he lives here in Sedona for 22 years, and he works with Osiris, right? So I see him, I know him, and I see him coming out of a restaurant one day, and I said, "Drumfalo, look behind you. There is Osiris in the rocks." And he turns around, and he went, "Oh my God, that's Osiris." And I've been here for 22 years and never saw that till you
Oh,
pointed it out. And
hmm.
I said, yeah. And then he tells me this story that he snuck into one of the temples in the northern Grand Canyon, Isis temple,
Hmm.
right? With two other people, he said he went, where they snuck in there and they found a chamber, and this one lady went into the chamber and disappeared. And then they were kind of nervous about going, and they go, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And it was about 30 minutes later, she comes back and she says, "I just came from Egypt." She went through a portal, and my
Oh, yeah.
question was it Egypt in the past or
Hmm.
Egypt now? And he
Hmm.
says Egypt now. So
Hmm.
there is a live portal there,
Hmm.
and they have it so closed off there in the Grand Canyon where they have discovered the ancient Egyptian artifacts. And then the northern rim, they talk about all these temples, Ra, Temple of Isis, Horus, and Seth. I mean, why would they be naming them all these names? And they look like pyramid temples. They
Hmm.
really do, but they don't allow you to walk them.
No.
You can look at them on the North Rim, overlook, but you can't go hiking. You're not allowed. It's totally off limits. So, and they have the black helicopters watching. They're really paranoid.
Well, we know there's stargates. We know that there's portals. And
Hmm.
that's one reason I'm sure they're keeping a lid on that portal.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
that would blow apart their ancient history lines that they feed us. So shall we
right?
look at some pictures?
Yeah, let's show the cover. So that's the cover. That's a Sphinx. That's the first Sphinx I found that the my spirit guided me to. I do a drive tour now, and so I tell all the stories and details, how magical they were,
Oh,
and how,
the
I came
face.
about these things. But that's a Sphinx. And then we got Akhenaten. There's Akhenaten.
Beautiful.
He actually, I can, talk freely. He actually came to me and guided me
Ooh,
for some of the faces, and I asked him. I said, I go, these are all gods and goddesses, Akhenaten. You're a pharaoh. He goes, I am much older than they say I am. And I'm like, okay. And then he shows me all these other things that I was didn't see yet, and he's like my guide now. He's one of my guides. He's great. Okay, so this is a mountain. This is a whole mountain. This is Osiris. I don't have the picture of Osiris on the walls of Egypt. This is exactly what he's doing. He's laying down.
the head is on the left, correct?
You're correct.
And I see the profile of his forehead and nose and mouth.
There's a cut line on his neck.
Right.
That's a cut line.
And
And
then,
then his feet, he's laying down and his feet are up.
right.
So that's exactly what it looks like in Egypt on the walls of Egypt. You
Wow.
know, yeah.
The mountain that,
Sphinxes in Sedona, that's another mountain. They're so big. The sphinxes are so big. They're they're whole mountains. See the paws down below?
right.
It's got paws and everything.
This was carved.
I don't know. The giants.
It's a
It's
mystery.
huge.
Yeah.
It might be sound or giants or flying machines carving out things. I don't know. That's the part I still don't know. But they had to be giants because when you go to Egypt, when you go into the temples, the doorways are 60 feet tall.
Oh
The
my goodness.
doorways inside the temple to the temples, and the ceilings are even taller. When you go inside the temples, there's drawings on top of the ceiling of these temples. You can't even see what they are because they're so high up. The doorways, like I said, are 60 to 70 feet tall by at least 10 feet wide. Now, why
Wow.
would you make a doorway that big and a ceiling that tall?
Right.
Unless you're not a giant. So they've been hiding the giants in ancient Egypt because this one person told me that they have next to the Valley of the Kings, which is a burial site for the kings. They said next to that they have another Valley of the Kings where they have other burials that they're not telling the public, and they're giants and ETs in there.
Oh, awesome. Oh,
Yeah. And that is just coming out now.
I can't wait till this becomes even more public.
Yeah.
I really, shall we move on to the next
Yeah.
picture?
Okay, there's Isis. Now, if you look at this really closely now, the middle picture on the middle top is
Right.
from the walls of Egypt.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so now look at her headdress with the snake. Now look to the right, headdress and the snake.
Uh-huh.
Look, then her eye is there. Eye.
Right.
Look at
Yeah.
her arm. She got an
Uh-huh.
arm. Okay, look at her hair. Her hair is cut
It's coming
same
down.
way.
Yeah.
And then there's a cut line to the right of her to define her, and then she's on the outside of this rock formation, full body, feminine body, and her husband is up on top of the rocks to the right next to her,
Oh,
Osiris.
awesome.
There's no coincidence there that he's right there, right next to each other. That is the statue of Horus from the temples in ancient Egypt. And as soon as I saw him there in the rocks, I said, "That's Horus." His face looks a little different. Yes, he looks more like a dog, but he has wings. So you can't see him because that tree is there, but he's got wings back there. Okay, Anubis. He came to me magically too before I found him in the rocks. I'm going to tell the story. It's a really funny story. I have a statue of Anubis in my house from Egypt, and one day he fell over and his ears broke off.
Oh,
And I'm going, what? And I watched it fall over for no reason. right?
Oh,
I'm telling you, and it fell up and hit his shoulder, didn't touch his ears. The ears, he didn't touch his ears on the ground, but they fell off. And I'm going, well,
wow.
that's weird. So I glued them back on, and then 3 days later, the ears are missing. Can't find them anywhere. Swear to God. A week, not less than a week later, I find him in the rocks because that's him.
Oh,
Anubis lost his ears. He was telling me he lost his ears. And the statue, if I had it with me, the statue looks exactly like that. Where the cutoff of his ears are and everything. This is
wow.
how you got to pay attention. This is how they communicate with you, you know?
Yes, yes.
And it's still blowing my mind. I'm like, Anubis, there you are. Like they're
Yeah.
all my buddies. Now Anubis he is a master of many things, but he's a dog. He's a protector. They talk about the story of protecting Osiris when he went to the underworld. So you have to go sometimes to the underworld to go up to heaven. So, and they talked about that a lot in Egypt. You know, the balancing of both experiencing both to
Oh, yeah.
bring your knowledge and your wisdom up to truth and knowing. So, ah, now the next picture is, let's see,
Ooh,
Thoth.
that's good.
Yeah, Thoth is one of my guides, actually. He's
Wow.
been coming to me since, well, long time.
Wow.
Before I moved to Sedona. But I found him actually in two places. And he definitely guides me. And I think I passed by him about half a dozen times before I saw him because he's a lot of in Sedona, a lot of the figures are lower. Everybody looks at the tops of the mountains, but these statues they're carving, and this is pretty huge. I don't know the measurement because you cannot hike there, but you can see it from the parking lot of the hiking area.
Mhm.
And that's totally Thoth. He's an ibis bird. Thoth is an ibis bird. He was the god of wisdom, and he would write constantly, be writing, and that's his scroll right in the front of him.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. But
Um,
he's got the arm, he's got the beak, he's got the headdress. I mean, that's a news and that's a thought.
is it my imagination? It looks like you can also that you can see chisel marks.
Could be. I mean, yes. You have to look really closely. Like I said, there's no, it's pretty steep to get, it's like kind of straight up to get there, so you can't really go close to that area. I have that long zoom lens, so that really helps.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
then there's a cave back here. There's a face in there too. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Ooh.
Don't know who that is. That
Huh.
could be him and what he really looks like. I don't know.
Whoa. I love that picture. That's really awesome. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, I found the baboons, and I figured, well, they have many cultures here. It's not just Egypt. I found Ganesh, Kuan Yin, different cultures, kings and queens. I found high priestesses and high priests and guardians. I mean, there's so many things here.
You mentioned that it was like a library in
It
Sedona.
is. It is like a library because they all have their own section. The ancient Egyptian section is about 3 miles long. That's pretty long, maybe even more. Yep, that's two different birds actually. They told me a whole section of this area was the bird tribe area.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, and I said, okay, the Native Americans, what did they have? They have constantly feathers and talk to, the bird tribes all the
oh,
time.
yeah.
And, what about ancient Egypt? Isis had bird wings. Ra is a sunbird. Thoth is a ibis bird. So Horus is a falcon bird. I mean, these are all birds too. Putting these two things together, and and here's another correlation I put together was in Egypt, they call themselves the Crimson race, the ancient ones.
Oh,
Crimson is red. What do the Native
oh,
Americans call themselves? The
red.
red race. They both call themselves the red race. Crimson, red, same thing. So the two, maybe the ancient Egyptians were the Native Americans because that before the flood, because the flood happened, had to go thousands of years underneath the earth,
Right.
of lost history,
Right.
right? Then we come out and it's like